Right, what is happening, people, and welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. Now, as we all know, there is a lot of shifting and shaping going on at Chelsea at this moment in time. We are in desperate need of midfield reinforcement, but I do still think that there are other areas on the pitch that are very much upgradable. And in this video, I want to dive into the hypothetical world of giving my ideal 11 for the start of next season with Chelsea. So this is obviously going to include players that are already at Stamford Bridge and one or two signings that I would like to see run out under Pochettino next season. First of all, we speak about the formation. In recent years, for me, Chelsea have always looked best playing a 5 at the back with 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs. However, if you look at what Pochettino likes to play, he likes to play a 4-2-3-1, meaning I will build this team around that style. And the first position on the pitch is actually where I'll bring in my first signing, which for me would be David Raya. Now, both Spurs and Man United have shown interest in the Brentford number 1, but both look like they're pretty reluctant to put down the £40 million price tag. And as much as I like and admire Kepa Arrizabalaga, I do think that I would part with the cash to bring in his fellow Spaniard to the club. The more I watch of David Raya, the more I like him. Now, I'm not comparing him to the two, but if you look at the likes of Alisson and Ederson, you can really see why it is so important in modern day football to have a goalkeeper that can start attacks. Now, as bad as we were last season, Chelsea were actually quite effective at dominating the ball and keeping possession. However, it was just too far and few between that we would ever see a direct ball straight through the first line defence. So with a quick thinking goalkeeper like Raya, who is both good and decisive with the ball at his feet, I believe he can give Chelsea a different dynamic next season. Now, obviously, it goes without saying that we too would like to get that 40 million price tag down, but if you look at the fact that we have got an abundance of talent that is going to need to go out on loan and get game time next season, I couldn't think of too many better clubs than Brentford to be able to ship a few of those players out to. They could learn under the likes of Thomas Frank, and if it can be used as a make weight to get this deal done, I think we should explore that option. So that's the goalkeeper sorted, but what about the back four? Well, Reece James and Ben Chilwell are 2 of the first names on the team sheet for me. And unlike last season, this season we are going to be hugely bolstered by the fact that the backup for them is a lot stronger. So now we've got Malo Gusto coming in who can be backup for Reece James, and also Ian Matson coming back off loan, who I think should be rotated with Ben Chilwell. Now, the centre-back pairing is actually a tough one. You've pretty much got 5 players going for 2 positions. So Thiago Silva, for me, has got to be in there. I think that in a side that are transitioning at the minute, pretty young, and we do need sort of an older head in there. I'm not just picking him on that. Thiago Silva is a brilliant player, and he's like a fine wine, really. He's not really declining as the years go on. I actually think in a season's time, this decision is going to come a little bit easier because there'll be a few more outgoings at the club, and obviously Thiago Silva probably will be coming towards the end then. But for me, Thiago Silva takes that first centre-back spot. Next to him, now we got a really tough decision. Fofana was brought in for massive money, and I actually think that in what I've seen from Fofana, despite the early injuries, played really well. Badiashile, more or less every time I've seen Badiashile play, he's performed to a very high standard. And then obviously you've got Trevor Chalobah, who knows the club inside out, coming through the youth ranks, and is a player that I really admire. However, all that being said, for me personally, it's undeniable that the future of our club at centre-back is Levi Colwill. Levi Colwill is ridiculously talented and composed on the ball for a 20-year-old centre-back. I was massively impressed by him at both Huddersfield and Brighton. And if you go back to the point I made about the fact that we were very slow to play out from the back, anyone who's watched Levi Colwill play will know that he can be very direct. He's got a great range of passing, and he will quickly get that ball rather than a sideways pass straight into an attacking phase of play. And that's what I want to see from us this season. More intensity, moving the ball up the pitch quicker, and a lot more calculated risks than we took last season. So that moves us onto the central midfield positions. Now, obviously, one of them is going to have to be Enzo Fernandez. For me, I thought Enzo was really good. It's very hard to praise anyone in this Chelsea team at the minute when people are so quick to beat everyone down on the fact that we finished 12th. But take that away, Enzo came in, and although he didn't do anything magnificent, you didn't see Enzo Fernandez putting a foot wrong. I think that he will only grow into this Chelsea side. However, I do think he was given a little bit too much defensive responsibility last season. I know he's listed as a central defensive midfield player, but for me, I don't think Enzo is best being in charge of all that defensive work. So again, here I would get out the checkbook. And it's an obvious one, isn't it? We need to bring in Moses Caicedo. We just need to get this one over the line now. Brighton have promised the player a move. It's reported heavily that he wants to come to Chelsea. And it's also been reported that personal terms aren't really going to be a problem. Now, one thing that I don't want to see is us massively overpaying for Caicedo. But at the same time, if we can agree a reasonable fee with Brighton, and again, when I come back to the loan signings of the players, maybe the same way we did with Levi Colwill last season, sending out a Cesar Caicedo, Kane Chukwuemeka, transfer one of our young talents to Brighton to give them squad depth and also help those talents go out, learn and get Premier League minutes, I think it's a win-win for everyone involved. Now, the three in front is likely where we're going to see most of the rotation. What I don't want to see is us chopping and changing the lineup every single game like we did last season. However, I do think we've got the squad depth to be able to keep it fresh along this front three. So I'm not massively bothered if 1 week Madueke plays and the next week Mudryk starts, but I do want to try and get a little bit more consistency in this front three, and here's what I would go with. Personally, in the 10, I'd have Nkunku. Either side of him, I would go with Raheem Sterling and Noni Madueke. Now, a lot of people will point out straight away the amount of money we have spent on Mykhailo Mudryk. However, I just want to see a little bit more from Mudryk before putting him straight into this lineup. Now, I actually think that Mykhailo Mudryk's ceiling is possibly slightly higher than Noni Madueke, but I, as a fan, want to see a player that drives at the defence, runs forward, takes risks, and that is something Noni Madueke does. As for Raheem Sterling, this is a player that, going back a couple of seasons ago, everyone was singing his praises when he was playing in that Pep system, yet all of a sudden, everyone's very quick to write him off and say Raheem Sterling is done. Well, I honestly think that this season, under Mauricio Pochettino, you are going to see a completely different player in Raheem Sterling. He is, again, one of the more experienced, older heads in a way that we need in that side. And for me, I think Raheem Sterling will have a big season this year. The most exciting part of this front line is obviously the number 10, Nkunku. But I am a little bit hesitant to get too high on Nkunku before we've seen him play. From all indications, everything I've seen is that he's going to be an amazing player. However, I have got a little bit too hyped up in the past. The players brought in from RB Leipzig, so maybe because I'm a little bit scarred from that. And bearing in mind, I'm saying this, Timo Werner weren't a bad player at all. He was just not a number 9, which we brought him in for. But I just want to see how Nkunku adapts to the Premier League before I really hang my hat on this guy. As I say, from everything I've seen, he looks like he's going to be a class act. And then we go up top, where if recent reports are to be believed, we're either looking at maybe Vlahovic, or we've got a straight shootout between Jackson and Broa. Now listen, recently it was claimed that we could be in with a chance of swapping Romelu Lukaku for Dusan Vlahovic. And you know what? If that deal had come off, I would have absolutely bitten your hand off for it. There is no doubt in my mind that Vlahovic is going to do a better job for us than Lukaku could coming back. However, now it looks like that is off the table. I don't know whether I'd want to go big for Vlahovic. He's shown glimpses that there is a really, really good player in there, but I just don't know whether I'd personally take the risk. So here's what I would do. I would stick rather than twist with what we've got and then reassess in January. I do believe that there's enough goals in our team that can see us through and still have us in a good position in the league until January. And then we look whether we want to reinvest. You know, obviously by that point, Ivan Toney's band's going to be up, and that's a player I've been very vocal in the past as saying I would like to see Chelsea bring in. So it is now a shootout between Jackson and Broa. And I think it's going to come down to Mauricio Pochettino really just having a look at both of these two in training and seeing who he likes more. For me, I'm obviously going to lean towards a player I've seen more of, and that is Armando Broa. Now, Broa is young and Broa is raw, but Broa has shown all the attributes so far, albeit in glimpses, of exactly what I think is the best fit for a Chelsea striker. Strong, physical, tenacious, and hungry to get goals. Broa works ruthlessly hard up top. He chases down every single ball, and you know what? The pace on that man for a player of that size is ridiculous. People will laugh at me, but trust me, I think this boy can go on to be world class. I also think he would have played a massive role for us last season had it not been for that stupid injury he picked up in a mid-season friendly. Yeah, I think Armando Broa, that's someone that I would definitely chuck straight into the lineup. Give him a chance, finally. He's been in and out the team a little bit since first coming through. Obviously, went out on loan at Southampton, and now I want to see how he does leading the line for Chelsea. So that's my ideal, and let's be honest, somewhat realistic lineup going into next season, but I would be very interested to know what you lot think. Who would you bring in? Obviously, there are positions on the field that is clearly obvious we need reinforcement in, so let me know in the comments. As soon as this video drops, I will be replying to every single one of you lot in the comments, so get your suggestions in and let me know. And if you are not already, I read a stat the other day, I think it's about 80% of the people that watch these videos aren't currently subscribed to the channel. If you do subscribe to the channel, it's going to be a massive help for me. It's going to let me know that I need to keep on banging out content like this so you lot can keep on watching. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, click the bell so that you get a notification every time one of my videos goes live, and I will see you in the next one.